Hello, welcome to Fashion Riley. I'm Riley. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm getting ready to go on a date with my fiance. So cute. So I'm currently sitting at my vanity. See, I have my little makeup all set up here. Oops, ignore that. Basically, I'm getting ready. And I wanted to talk about fashion history while getting ready. I thought that could just be like a fun little thing that we could do. So today we're going to talk about the history of Celine. Don't worry, I'm gonna have a different date night outfit. This is just my getting ready in sweater. Okay, back to the topic. So today we're going to talk about the history of the fashion house Celine. So as many of you know, Celine is a French fashion house that has been around for quite some time. They're clearly very well established. I mean, we still know the brand name today. Celine was one of the forefront runners of quiet luxury. So like they kind of did quiet luxury before quiet luxury even existed. The brand actually started out in 1945 as, get this, as a kids' shoe store. So Celine Vipriani and her husband Richard, post-World War II, they decided that it would be a great idea to open up like a kids made-to-measure shoe store. So definitely a different history than what they are known for today, clearly. But good for them, their shoe store actually was quite successful. So in the 1950s, then they went on to open up more boutiques around Paris. And I mean, still they were really known for making these like kid shoes, which is all good and dandy. Back then they did have the logo. It was like a little red elephant that we don't see anymore today, but I bet it's super cute. Like it sounds very whimsical, very Parisian, but different. The logo that we know and love today is called the Triomphe. I'm sure you've seen it before, like the little C's. That actually came about not until 1973. It's inspired by the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Celine Vipriani herself designed it. So that's kind of a fun little fashion fact that, you know, the elephant logo didn't stick around, but the Arc de Triomphe did. Okay, so moving on. So they decided in the 1960s that there was an emerging market of women that were going into the workforce. Women that wanted to be a little bit more practical, women that wanted to be more modern, and they wanted those women to wear Celine. Like they wanted a piece of that consumer pie, right? So, let's use this. So in the 1960s, they started to create their ready-to-wear lines, which included really just like practical items like classically tailored pieces and neutrals. Like there were leather accessories, there were trench coats, there were like tailored clothing, like things that a woman could wear and look elegant and timeless, kind of understated, but not really flashy. Like they were never going for flashy. So that's kind of where Celine just like, that was their niche for quite a while. They were kind of just under the radar, designing these really minimalist clothes, let's say, like the quiet luxury before quiet luxury existed. So this was all good, working out for the brand. And then this is when we had the game changer. Phoebe Philo, our queen Phoebe Philo, she joined Celine in 2008. So prior to being part of Celine, she came from Chloe, where she had made iconic bags like the Paddington, the Edith. So she had a great resume, basically, that she was bringing into Celine. So when she came to the brand, she really wanted to redefine what exactly the brand stood for. So she had this really, just like, this really sharp idea of, like, a minimalist, really elegant, but, like, deep. Like, I want to say, like, a really, like, deep appreciation for, like, women's clothing. She knew that her client, she didn't want them to have to like please the male gaze. These women, which were later to be coined as like the Celine woman, they're elegant, they're free thinkers, they're independent, like they know what they want and they're not really dressing for the trends and they're not dressing for the times. They're very intentional about what they're putting on their body. And that's exactly what Phoebe Philo wanted to design for these women. So think the silhouettes like really oversized tailoring, like it was a lot of neutrals. Another iconic part of Phoebe Philo's history with Celine is she introduced the nano luggage bag, the trapeze, the phantom, like the box bag, all these iconic bags that we still have today from the brand. That was all Phoebe Philo's doing. So basically, Phoebe Philo, because of how like iconic and revolutionary she was, she sparked an entire like movement in the fashion world. So during this time, she had like a serious cult following. People were making like mood boards about her and Tumblr posts, and there were like Instagram pages dedicated to Celine. These consumers, they weren't just buying the product, like they were buying into this feeling, into this lifestyle of being like a Celine woman. So back then, this era, this is what we called Old Céline. So it's just like, it's weird because it was like Old Céline and New Celine. So now let's get into New Celine. New Celine arose in 2018 when the brand had another, you know, how fashion houses are always changing around their seats, changing around designers. Hedi Slimane came in, and he was previously the designer for Saint Laurent. And, you know, if you think about Saint Laurent back in that time, 2011 to 16-ish, it was like edgy. It was rock and roll. Like, it wasn't really Celine. Like, the adjectives you use don't really have a lot of overlap, in the sense of like Celine was like elegant and minimal, and he was like rock and roll, right? Super edgy. And that's what he did. So he dropped the accent on the E in Celine, and it just became like Old Celine. This like edgy nightclub energy, black and like edgy. I feel like that's the word I just keep using because that's exactly what it was. So for some people, it was like total heartbreak, like R.I.P. Old Céline. They missed Miss Phoebe Philo. And some people was like, oh my gosh, I love this reinvigoration of the brand. So that is kind of where the like Old Céline versus New Celine comes in. It's like the minimalism versus like the maximalism. And I mean, I feel like that's kind of the beauty of the brand, is that it's like, it's constantly evolving, and they're not afraid to put somebody new at the house that's going to change the, oh my gosh, it's going to change the look and not be afraid to just like change up the aesthetics, but it always ends up staying true to that really like Parisian cool kind of like timeless classics. Hedi Slimane is no longer with Celine, so you know, I bet we're going to see a whole new era of it, which is kind of exciting. But that's pretty much all I have to say about Celine. I mean, there's like still a huge discourse between Old Celine and New Celine. I mean, personally, I don't really have like a favorite, because I feel like the creative director sets the tone for the house. I mean, obviously, but it's not really dependent on like, I don't think that like Celine can be cool and edgy because, you know, Phoebe Philo didn't have it cool and edgy. Like, I don't know, I really love when a brand can be so versatile and flexible, and I feel like it challenges the consumer to really think about their style and like their style evolution. And it's like, well, if a brand from 1945 that started off as a kid's shoe market can transform into this really cool and edgy haute couture, like luxurious fashion house, like, I don't know, you can do anything. Fashion is meant to be fun. It's not really meant to like live by strict rules, right? So I don't know if I'm in the camp of Old Céline or New Céline. I do love Old Céline because I love Phoebe Philo, and I think that what she stood for in the sense of like femininity and like, you know, empowering the woman, making practical things for her, I think that was iconic and ahead of her time. But I do love Hedi Slimane and everything that he has done. Just his work overall as a whole. I did love him at Saint Laurent, and I also loved him at Celine. So that's my little fashion history tidbit for you all today. Oops, okay, I think I'm done with this. Off to our date night. Well, I have to get changed first, but okay. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little fashion history deep dive. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for watching.